welcome to my channel. Quick disclaimer before we get started. I don't know if you can hear it, but my neighbors are having like a full-on rager outside. I don't know what's going on. It's literally Wednesday night, so I don't know, like, is there a holiday I don't know about? What's happening? Do they not have work tomorrow? I have no idea. So if you can hear them, I'm so sorry. I don't know if the camera will pick it up at all, but just in case. Yeah, they're having fun, we're having fun, so let's get started. I have so many good books to share with you guys today. So to start the month, I wanted like a fun, fast-paced, cozy, Halloween-y book that gave all of the fall vibes. So I heard a lot of people talking about The Ex-Hex, which is a cozy paranormal rom-com, second chance, small town, dual point of view, forced proximity. It's about Vivian, who is a young witch, and she starts dating this guy on her summer semester in college, and he's an exchange student from Wales, and he's also a witch, a major one, because his ancestors were the founders of the town where Vivian lived. But then she finds out that this guy, Reese, is being set up by his father to get married to someone back in Wales. So of course Vivian is heartbroken, she breaks up with him, and she decides to go back home and drown her sorrows with a bath and vodka, of course. But her cousin Gwen suggests that they should perform like a fake curse on Reese just to make her feel better, just for fun, like it was not meant to be anything serious. Vivian agrees. They're both drinking, having fun, performing this curse, and they thought nothing about it. But things go down once Reese comes back 9 years later, and they find out that the curse was very much real, and they have to solve it. They have to team up again. Vivian has to see Reese again and basically undo the curse that she put on him 9 years ago. So it gives all the witchy, Halloween-y vibes, exactly what I needed to start the month of October. The banter, the chemistry between Vivi and Reese were on point, 10 out of 10. Overall, it's a very fun, lighthearted, perfect read for fall. Definitely go into it for the vibes. The town it's set in is so pretty. You get all the cozy Gilmore Girls vibes. Yeah, so I would highly recommend. I rated it a 4 stars. I would have given it 5 stars, but I just felt like the plot was resolved a little bit too easy in the end. I get it, it's a cozy paranormal rom-com, but I don't know, for my taste it was resolved a little bit too quickly, too easily. So yeah, it was a very fun, fast-paced read. Then I decided to pick up Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is a fantasy romance that's been going all over TikTok. Vampires, rivals to lovers. It's a slow burn. There's forbidden love, forced proximity, strong female main character. So this is the story of Oriah, who is a human, but she was adopted by the Nightborn vampire king after her whole village got slaughtered by rival vampires. The king raised her like she was his own daughter, and she grew up learning how to survive in a world that basically saw her as prey. So her only chance to be anything other than that is to participate in a tournament that is held every 100 years called the Kejari, and it's held in honor of the goddess of death, Nyaxia. In this tournament, the most vicious warriors come together to basically fight each other to death, and a single survivor is crowned victor and is offered a wish by Nyaxia herself. So Oriah plans to win this tournament and ask to be something other than human. She doesn't want to feel weak in this world anymore. She just wants to belong. But things get complicated when she meets Rain, a competitor from a rival clan of vampires, and things get messy after that. So this was advertised to me as Vampire Hunger Games, and I was sold from that alone. But it's really more than that. The world building is amazing. Like, I was so captivated by this book, like I literally couldn't put it down. And it's a fairly long book. You get right into it from the start, and it just keeps you hooked the entire time. So I just breezed through it. Like, it was so good. I highly recommend. I gave it a 4.5 stars because, I don't know, like, am I being too picky? Maybe. Like, the feelings were there. I was going through a roller coaster of emotions the entire time. But I don't know, like, it wasn't a 5-star for me, but it was close. It was a 4.5. Then I wanted to get into the more spooky vibes, so I decided to pick up a thriller. I picked up The Last Word, which is about Emma Carpenter. She's basically in a remote beachfront property. She's house sitting for someone. She's just living her life, reading books, but then she comes across this book she didn't like. So she decides to leave a bad review, but then the author sees the review and he asks her to remove the post, and she's like, I'm not gonna do that. So they start fighting online and things get crazy, but then she thinks nothing about it until strange things start happening in the house she's staying at. So she starts wondering if the author has decided to get his revenge and come after her. The premise of this book is so good. I really thought I would love this book. Like, I had pretty high expectations for it, but sadly it was not for me. Just the way things were executed were not for me. There were so many plot twists and stuff, which normally I would love, but it was so much build up, and then the reveal was just predictable for me. I think I guessed the ending within a few chapters. So I don't know, it just fell flat for me. I hope the author doesn't come for me for leaving a bad review, but it was a 2-star read for me. Moving on, I picked up my first dark academia book. It's actually a fantasy dark academia. Rivals to lovers, forced proximity, slow burn, mental health awareness, and female trauma representation. The story is about an architecture student. Her name is Effie. She is in college and she finds this poster where she sees that a contest is being held by the family of her favorite author, and basically the winner gets to redesign their whole estate. So she enters the contest, she wins, and she's contacted by the author's son, and he asks her if he can come to the estate and start planning for all the renovations and everything. So of course she accepts and she goes to the estate, and she finds out that another student from her college, a literature student, is also there to collect some of the author's work, because the author had recently passed away, so they're making like a collection of all of his work. And immediately they start a rivalry with one another, but they have to team up because Effie finds out the real reason why Preston is in the house. She basically finds out that Preston has other motives for being there. This was a wild ride because Effie is an unreliable narrator, so we never truly know if what she's experiencing is real life, or is it just happening inside her head? We don't know. Basically, throughout the whole book, there are so many secrets to be uncovered, so many puzzle pieces to be put together. There is romance in this book, but it's basically a subplot. Like, don't go into it expecting it to be a romance, because it's not. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I have never read anything like this before. Definitely check your trigger warnings, because there's a lot of heavy topics that are discussed in this book. It's not a lighthearted book by any means, but it's very entertaining, very crazy, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars. I would definitely recommend. Then after such a heavy book, I wanted something fun and lighthearted and something that got me back into the cozy vibes. So I picked up my first graphic novel. It's called it's called Garlic and the Vampire. It's basically a cozy fantasy. Excuse me, I don't know if you heard that, but everyone is interrupting this video today. What's going on? Anyway, Garlic and the Vampire is a wholesome, cozy story about this cute little anxious garlic bulb who works in a witch's garden with other vegetables. They basically tend to the garden and then they sell whatever they produce at the local farmers market. It's so cute. But one day they notice that a nearby castle is like being inhabited by someone because they see smoke coming out of the chimney. So they start questioning who that might be, and there's rumors that it is actually a vampire. So they start getting worried and they decide that they're gonna send Garlic to investigate, for obvious reasons. It took me like 30 minutes to read, and it's basically everything I was looking for. The artwork is beautiful. I would highly recommend if you're looking for a quick graphic novel to get into. And I'll definitely check the sequel out at some point. But basically I gave it a 4 stars. It was so cute, so adorable. Then I had my first fail. So I started Renegades, which is basically a superhero novel. I heard that if you like Marvel, you're probably gonna like this book too. And I love Marvel. But the thing is, Once Upon a Broken Heart is like my favorite series ever. So I was like impatiently waiting for A Curse for True Love to be released. So I was not paying much attention to Renegades. So I did start it, but I was reading it very slowly and I had to put it down because A Curse for True Love came out. And sorry, I did enjoy it. Like, I read a couple of chapters and I was enjoying it, but it was not what I wanted to read at the time. I had to put it down. I haven't finished it, but definitely expect that to be in the November wrap up. So it's a DNF for now, not because I don't like it, but because priorities. So of course I had to pick up A Curse for True Love as soon as it came out. It is the 3rd and final book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and if you don't know about that series, it's basically my favorite series of all time. I have never related to a story so much. I cannot tell you a lot about A Curse for True Love, but I will tell you a little summary about what the first book, Once Upon a Broken Heart, is about. Tropes. It's basically an enemies to lovers, forbidden love, love triangle, forced proximity, found family, fae. It's a slow burn, like a slow burn. But it has so much tension that it makes up for it. It also gives like dark fairy tale vibes, so if you're into that, you're gonna love this. The first book, Once Upon a Broken Heart, is about this girl, Evangeline Fox. She finds out that her boyfriend is actually going to marry someone else. And she decides to go to the Prince of Hearts, a fate, to basically stop the wedding. So the fates in this world are like magical beings that grant you wishes in exchange for something they want from you. But the thing is, they give you what you want, but usually not the way you expect. They say to never make a deal with a fate, but Evangeline was obviously desperate. So she goes to Jax, the Prince of Hearts, and she asks him to stop the wedding. And Jax says he's gonna do it in exchange for 3 kisses that he's gonna collect from her at any point in time. These kisses can be given to anyone he decides. Evangeline agrees, and then the story takes off from there. This series is a spin-off to the Caraval series, and the Caraval series comes first, but you wouldn't be confused if you didn't read Caraval. I didn't. I was way more curious about the plot of this series, but yeah, I eventually went back and read Caraval as well. So you don't need Caraval to understand Once Upon a Broken Heart, but there is some minor spoilers in Once Upon a Broken Heart for the Caraval series. Not major spoilers, but spoilers nonetheless. So if you are interested in Caraval and you want to read Caraval at some point in time, read that first if you want to avoid spoilers. But if you don't care, if you're more interested in Once Upon a Broken Heart, you can go into it. And yeah, I personally love the Once Upon a Broken Heart series more than Caraval. I did enjoy Caraval, but Once Upon a Broken Heart is just, they're my babies. Those 3 books are my babies. This series is my Roman Empire. I love it. Evangeline Fox is literally me. You know when you find a character that you can relate to and you're like, did the author write this book about me? Like, that's Evangeline to me. And Jax is my husband, the love of my life. I cannot with that man. So yeah, if you want more of Jax, I would definitely recommend going into Caraval, get a lot of his background, and you understand better why he does what he does. Do with that what you will. So A Curse for True Love is the last book in the series. It came out a couple of days ago. That being said, I have to address a few things because I heard a lot of people were disappointed with this book. Like, they feel like it could have been more. But what I have to say about that is that yes, there are a lot of things that Stephenie left open-ended. I feel like she's not done writing in this world. She might be done writing about Evangeline and Jax, but I don't think she's done writing in this world. So maybe it was meant to be like that, because we did get a conclusion for Evangeline and Jax. We do get closure with them in the book, but there's a lot of things about the world that are still not explained, and I'm pretty sure she did that on purpose. So yeah, I'm not complaining, because if she wants to keep writing a million books in this world, I'll happily read them all. So yeah, just know that it feels like an ending for now, not like a conclusion to the whole world and stuff. Then I got into a slump, almost not a slump, more like a book hangover, because it was so good and I could not let these characters go. So I needed something quick and fast-paced and something that didn't require a lot of brain power. So I decided to pick up The Kiss Curse, which is the sequel to The XX. So it's also a cozy paranormal rom-com. It takes place in the same small town in Georgia. Rivals to lovers, dual point of view. It follows Gwen, Vivi's cousin, and Wells, who is Reese's brother. It has the same cozy fall vibes, Gilmore Girls vibes. But yeah, I feel like this book focuses more on the characters and like the environment, the atmosphere, than the plot. I feel like the plot for The XX was better than the plot for The Kiss Curse, but the vibes were there. It was fast-paced, it was fun, it was easy to get into. I gave it a 3 stars. Like, it wasn't anything crazy, like my favorite book ever, but it gave me what I needed it to give me. So finally, the last book I read in the month of October was the novella that follows The Serpent and the Wings of Night, called Six Scorched Roses. It's a fantasy romance. It has vampires, chronic illness representation. It's basically book 1.5. It takes place at the same time as The Serpent and the Wings of Night, but it follows different characters in a different location. Lilith's town has been cursed by one of the gods, so the lands are no longer fertile and people are dying from a plague. And Lilith is a scientist, so she wants to find a cure for the plague. So she decides to visit this vampire because she thinks vampire blood is the solution to all of her problems. So she makes a deal with him that she's gonna come by every month for 6 months and she's gonna collect some of his blood in exchange for some funny looking roses. And she tells him that the roses are special, but he will have to wait till he has all 6 of them to figure out why. So of course the vampire is intrigued. He's like, sure, let's make the deal. And the story takes off from there. It is recommended that you read this novella before you read The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, because these characters will come into play in that book. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. I did enjoy this novella. I really like the characters. I want to see how everything comes together in the second book. This novella is very fast-paced and a lot happened actually, which is surprising. I feel like because novellas are so short, like usually not a lot happens, but in this one, a lot happened. I was pleasantly surprised and I gave it a 3.5 star. And yeah, those are all of the books I read in the month of October. I'm excited to continue some of these series in November, so stay tuned for that. And also Renegades. I really have to get back into Renegades. I'm a huge mood reader, so I need to be feeling it, you know? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this. Let me know in the comments what your 5-star reads were this month. And yeah, I'll see you next month. Bye.